Introduction. Hey everyone. Welcome back to our channel. Today, we are diving into the fascinating world of biology and pharmacology to talk about a molecule that plays a crucial role in our bodies, histamine. You might have heard about histamine in the context of allergies, but there's so much more to it. In this video, we'll explore what histamine is, its functions, how it affects our bodies, and why it's both essential and sometimes a nuisance. So, let's get started. What is histamine? Histamine is a naturally occurring compound produced in our bodies, particularly in specialized cells called mast cells and basophils. These cells are an integral part of our immune system and are found throughout various tissues. Histamine is also found in certain foods and is involved in various physiological processes. Synthesis of histamine. The synthesis of histamine occurs naturally in the human body, where it is produced by specialized cells called mast cells and basophils. These cells contain an enzyme called histidine decarboxylase, which catalyzes the conversion of the amino acid histidine into histamine. Here's a simplified step-by-step process of histamine synthesis. Step 1. Uptake of histidine. Histidine, an essential amino acid, is taken up from the bloodstream into mast cells and basophils. Step 2. Conversion of histidine to histamine inside the mast cells and basophils. The enzyme histidine decarboxylase removes a carboxyl group, CoO, from histidine. This process is called decarboxylation, resulting in the formation of histamine. The chemical reaction can be represented as follows. Histidine right pointing arrow histamine plus CO2. Step 3. Release of histamine. Once formed, histamine is stored in vesicles within the mast cells and basophils. Upon certain stimuli, such as an allergic reaction or immune response to pathogens, these cells undergo degranulation. During degranulation, the vesicles release histamine into the surrounding tissues or bloodstream. Step 4. Binding to histamine receptors. Once released, histamine can bind to specific histamine receptors, H1, H2, H3, and H4 receptors, located in various tissues throughout the body. Binding to these receptors triggers different physiological responses, including allergic reactions, regulation of stomach acid production, and modulation of neurotransmitter release in the brain. It's important to note that histamine can also be present in certain foods, and some foods can trigger the release of histamine in susceptible individuals. Functions of histamine. Histamine acts as a signaling molecule in the body, influencing a wide range of physiological functions. Some of its primary functions include immune response. When our body detects foreign invaders, such as pathogens or allergens, mast cells and basophils release histamine as part of the immune response. Histamine's role here is to increase blood flow to the affected area, leading to inflammation. This helps attract immune cells to the site to fight off the threat. Allergic reactions. Now, this is where histamine gets its not-so-great reputation. In allergic reactions, like hay fever or food allergies, the immune system mistakes harmless substances for threats and releases histamine. This leads to the classic symptoms we associate with allergies, such as itching, sneezing, runny nose, and rashes. Neurotransmitter. In the brain, histamine acts as a neurotransmitter, playing a role in wakefulness, attention, and cognitive functions. Drugs that affect histamine receptors in the brain can have various effects on our sleep-wake cycle and mental alertness. Histamine receptors. Histamine exerts its effects by binding to specific receptors in different parts of the body. There are four main types of histamine receptors: H1, H2, H3, and H4. Each receptor has a different distribution and function. H1 receptors, found in various tissues, including the respiratory tract and skin. H1 receptors are responsible for allergic responses, causing symptoms like itching and bronchoconstriction. H2 receptors, located in the stomach lining. H2 receptors regulate stomach acid production. Drugs that target these receptors are commonly used to treat acid reflux and peptic ulcers. H3 receptors, these are mainly found in the brain, where they act as autoreceptors, controlling the release of histamine itself. They also influence neurotransmitter release and can impact cognitive functions. H4 receptors. H4 receptors are primarily found in immune cells and play histamine intolerance. While histamine is essential for many bodily functions, some individuals may experience histamine intolerance. This condition occurs when the body is breaking down and metabolizing histamine, leading to an excess up in the system. Symptoms of histamine intolerance can include headaches, hives, digestive issues, and even anxiety. Classification of antihistamine drug. Antihistamine drugs, also known as histamine receptor antagonists, are medications that block the effects of histamine at specific histamine receptors in the body. These drugs are commonly used to treat allergies, hay fever, and other conditions caused by excessive histamine release. Antihistamines can be classified based on various criteria, such as generation, chemical structure, and receptor selectivity. Here are the main classifications of antihistamine drugs. 1. First-generation antihistamines. 1. Example drugs: diphenhydramine, chlorpheniramine, clemastine, promethazine. 2. Characteristics. These antihistamines are older, and many of them can cause drowsiness as a common side effect. 2. They are more likely to cross the blood-brain barrier, leading to sedative effects and impairing cognitive function. 2. Due to these side effects, they are often used for their sedative properties to aid with sleep or manage occasional allergies. 1. Second-generation antihistamines. 1. Example drugs: loratadine, cetirizine, fexofenadine, desloratadine. 2. Characteristics. Second-generation antihistamines are newer and designed to have reduced sedative effects compared to first-generation ones. 2. They are less likely to cross the blood-brain barrier, which means they have a more significant effect on peripheral histamine receptors, H1 receptors in the body, and are less likely to cause drowsiness. 2. They are commonly used for long-term management of allergies and hay fever. 1. Third-generation antihistamines. 1. Example drugs: levocetirizine, desloratadine. 2. Characteristics. Third-generation antihistamines are further refinement of the second-generation drugs. 2. They are considered more selective for peripheral H1 receptors, which means they have even fewer sedative effects and are well tolerated for long-term use. 2. These drugs are effective in treating various allergic conditions without causing significant drowsiness. 1. H2 antihistamines. 1. Example drugs: cimetidine, ranitidine, famotidine. 2. Characteristics: unlike the previous classifications that target H1 receptors, H2 antihistamines specifically block histamine from binding to H2 receptors found in the stomach lining. 2. These drugs are used to reduce stomach acid production and are primarily employed in treating conditions like acid reflux, peptic ulcers, and gastroesophageal reflux disease, GERD. It's important to note that while antihistamines can be helpful in managing allergies and related conditions, they may interact with other medications or have side effects. Always consult with a healthcare professional or pharmacist before starting any new medication, especially if you have other medical conditions or are taking other drugs. They can help you choose the most suitable antihistamine based on your specific needs and medical history. Conclusion: histamine is undoubtedly a fascinating molecule with a complex role in our bodies. While it can be the cause of discomfort during allergic reactions, we mustn't forget its vital functions in immunity, neurotransmission, and regulating physiological processes. As always, we hope you found this information intriguing and informative. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more exciting content. If you have any questions or topics you'd like us to cover in future videos, let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.